Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first story is titled, Am I the A-hole for refusing to move out? I, 24F, have lived in the same apartment for 4 years. In this time I've had 2 roommates, one the first 2 years I lived here, and the second for the rest of the time. My current roommate, 32F, V, has been great until now. She's in a long-term relationship, and over Christmas she got proposed to. Now they want to live together, but they both approached me and asked me to let her fiancé take over my lease and for me to find a new place as soon as possible. I have a few problems with this. I feel like they should find a new place together because I've lived here longer. I also told V a few months ago that I spoke to the landlord about once our lease together's up, that I'll be living alone since I can now afford it. At that time, she agreed and said that her and her boyfriend would look for a place together. I told her this, but she said that when they started looking for a new place, that everything else was too expensive and it made more sense for me to move out and not her. I refused and told her that she can always ask the landlord if there will be units available for them in our building. She started cussing me out and has had her fiancé and their friends harassing me about it. There's 4 months left on the lease, so I'm just going to ignore them. But when I spoke to my mom about it, she thinks I should let them have the apartment since they need to start saving for their wedding. Comments said, not the a-hole. It's rude of them to assume that you'll move out when it's her BF who wants to move in. Stand your ground and tell her you understand. However, as said previously, you told her you were taking over the lease. Also, inform your landlord in case she tries to kick you off the lease when it's up for renewal. Another comment said, not the a-hole. They're well out of line here. It's one thing to ask you, but they didn't ask, it was a demand. Funny how everything is expensive, and yet they're happy to make it your problem when they're the ones with the change of circumstances. Worth giving the landlord a heads up on this, especially if she tries to take a sneaky route of making stuff up about you to them. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for responding to my father's request for a relationship with a detailed PowerPoint on why he will never be forgiven? If I'm the a-hole here, I'll own it. I'm not sorry, but it would be good to know because the rest of my family thinks this went too far. My, 24F, mom died when I was 7 from leukemia. I have very few memories of her from before she was sick, and I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her in her last year. But she was an artist, and until she couldn't anymore, she would make me little collages when she was in the hospital, with drawings and photos and messages for me. My grandmother put them all in a book for me after she died. I wanted to be like my mom, and my counselor thought it would help, so I started a journal where I would do kind of a similar thing, and I've done at least 1 page a week all these years ever since my mom died. More when I miss her or have something hard going on. So I have kind of a unique record of my mental state over the last 16 years. My father remarried when I was 9. My stepmother really leaned hard into the I'm your mom now, and my father didn't stop her. It improved when they had my half-brother because she basically forgot about me then. Unfortunately, he got cancer when he was 3, and I pretty much ceased to exist for my father. He was either working or gone with my brother, and I spent all my teen years mostly at home alone or with my grandparents. The mantra was that my brother needed to be the focus because he might die, so I needed to not be selfish since I was healthy. I stopped trying to talk to him when I was 16, and it was a dark time. I moved out when I was 18 and cut them off completely. My grandparents let me know that my brother died a couple of years ago, but respected my desire to remain NC with my father. He recently reached out to them because he wants to see me and talk. I went through my old journals and made him a PowerPoint with images of the entries where I had talked about being frustrated and feeling abandoned and unwanted, some with literal quotes of things my dad had said to me during arguments. Even the really dark stuff from when I was seriously depressed. Then I ended it with a photo of one of my mom's collages where she had written, Remember that your dad and I are always here for you. And I wrote, You failed. Go away. Underneath. I felt like him being able to see it from my literal perspective would communicate why I don't want him back better than I could. Evidently it worked, but a little too well because I've been bombarded by family telling me that it's understandable that I don't want to see him, but what I sent gutted him, and he's completely fallen apart after reading through it, and it was unnecessarily cruel. Maybe it was. I know my bar for that is kind of weird sometimes. So, am I the a-hole? Comment said, not the a-hole in the slightest. You told your dad how you felt, and it made him have to confront his failures as a parent. It's not your fault he neglected you. He's upset because he knows what you put in the PowerPoint is the reality of how he treated you when you were just a child. Now that the truth is out and you have reestablished NC, I hope you're able to let go of some of the anger you have at him and know that you did nothing to cause how he treated you. I'm no contact with my dad and have been able to find a lot of peace in the life I have built without him. I hope for the same for you. Another comment said, not the a-hole. Was it harsh? Was it a lot of effort when simply telling him go away would have accomplished the basic goal? Probably, but this was your lived reality, and he wasn't interested in hearing or helping you when it would actually have made a difference. If it's only now dawning on him how lonely and rejected you must have felt, he's just going to have to live with that. Also, one does have to question whether he'd be this gutted or even reaching out at all if your brother were still here. The next story is titled, I, 24 female, inherited a lot of money from my grandparents. My cousins, 20s/30s, are demanding I split it with them. I'm risking losing my family if I keep all of it. Backstory. My grandparents have always been a big part of my life, as well as the rest of my family. They had 5 kids, including my dad, and have 13 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. My grandparents are pretty wealthy. They owned 3 businesses up until last year when my grandpa passed away. I'm the baby of the grandchildren, and have always been really close with them. My grandma babysat me until I was able to go to kindergarten. I wrap her Christmas presents for everyone every year, I decorate their house, and I've worked at their bar on Friday nights throughout college, without pay, as they got too old to do these things themselves. All of these things were offered to my cousins, but they never helped out. My grandparents ran a horse training farm for show horses for over 40 years. This was something my dad took up with them, and I quickly started to love. I rode every weekend with my grandma up until high school when I started to get busy. Even though I don't ride much anymore, my dad and I go out and clean the stalls every week and take care of the horses when my grandparents went on trips, usually every other month. My grandparents were a huge part of my life. The problem. My grandma passed away 4 weeks ago. It was devastating. My grandma left my aunt's uncle's dad about $85,000 each. Money that her and my grandpa worked very hard for. This was expected. What wasn't expected was for them to leave me a little over $45,000, along with some other things of value. I was honestly shocked. My cousins all got about $2,000 each and some knickknacks. Obviously, you can see where this was going. My aunts and uncles were in the reading when I was told, so they told their kids. Everyone besides my parents is furious. My cousins, who are adults, are demanding I split it evenly with them. I don't feel that I have to. I was very close with my grandparents and did a lot for them, but this is hard. My family is very tight, and we do annual vacations together / monthly parties / dinners, etc. I never expected money would tear us apart. This money could change a lot for me. I could pay off my $10,000 student loan, and put the rest towards my upcoming wedding / future children / a savings account. A small part of me wants to divide it evenly, just to keep everyone together. But there was a reason they left me this. They didn't do it to hurt anyone. I was the only one to visit them and help them out. None of them took the time to see them aside from family get-togethers. But no one understands that aside from my parents. I feel like I'm single-handedly tearing the family apart. My aunts and uncles won't talk to my dad unless I split the money, and my cousins won't talk to me. I only have a student loan and car payment, so I don't have much debt, but this could set me up for a comfortable future. They all keep throwing in my face that they have families, house payments, college to pay for, etc. They keep saying I've been planning this for a long time, but I truly haven't. I loved my grandparents. My fiancé is telling me to forget about them and to do what's best for me, but I'm a huge family person. I don't want to split the money, it could really help me, but I feel that they could be playing me by making me choose between them and it. My parents also want me to keep the money, as they feel my family members are being ridiculous by demanding this. Is it right for me to keep this much? I feel like I deserve it. Is it right for me to put this money over my family? Or are the people who I've been so close with my entire life taking advantage of me? $45,000 versus $2,000 is a huge difference. So, advice? Comment said, absolutely keep all the money. Your cousins think they're entitled just because of lineage. They're not. Your grandparents gave you the money because you were good to them and spent time with them. You deserve the money, they don't. Also, like you said, this money can positively change your life and give you the good start you need. That's what your grandparents intended. If you split it, it's not going to be enough to help anyone. Honor what your grandparents wanted and keep the money. Use that line with your family, in fact. Our grandparents wanted me to have this money. I'm going to honor their wishes. I won't be discussing this further. If you want to let something like this tear the family apart, that's your choice. Honestly, you see these people a couple of times a year. They might be blood, but they are not your chosen family, and you'll probably find they matter to you less and less as you get older. Don't let their butt hurt ruin your chance for a good life. Another comment said, first of all, $45,000 split 13 ways isn't going very far at all. I don't think your cousins have really thought it through, but if your 12 cousins got $2,000 each and you got $45,000, then there was a total of $69,000 given to the grandchildren. That's a little over $5,000 each. They're seriously going to throw a huge fit about $3,000. A-holes. But anyway, duck them, they're not entitled to your money, and it's a crappy thing for them to do, to be greedy idiots about it. Your fiancé and your parents are right. It's your money and you shouldn't be guilted into giving it away. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for making my parents choose between my sister going to jail or replacing my car with their vacation money? I, female, 17, live with my parents. I have an older sister, 29, that they had when they were super young. Like, I think my mom was 19 and my dad was 18. They did not do a great job with her, and she has a lot of problems. She's chronically unemployed, and she's a thief. She has 2 kids that are okay. They live with us as well because her boyfriend didn't want them around. I like the kids, but they are spoiled little brats my parents dote on to make up for being crappy parents to their mom. My parents won't let me put a lock on my door because it's their house, and they don't want that. No problem. I talked to the kids and explained about what would happen if they came into my room without permission. We have an understanding. Well, my sister broke up with her boyfriend and she needed a place to stay. I begged my parents not to let her stay with us. They declined, so I begged again for a lock for my door. No dice. I have to go to school, so I can't guard my stuff at all times. When I came home on Friday, I found my car absolutely trashed and the side of it destroyed. My sister had gone into my room, found my spare key, and taken my car. Then lost control on the ice after a day of eating crap and tossing fast food wrappers everywhere. She sideswiped a tree. When I saw my car, I was livid. I told my parents that I expected her to pay to fix it. They said she didn't have any money. So I said that I would call my grandparents. They had helped me get the car and insurance. After talking with my grandfather, I came back to talk to my parents. I said that the insurance would cover fixing or replacing my car depending on the damage, but that I would have to file a police report, and that my sister would probably be charged for stealing my car. They begged me to tell insurance that she had permission. I said, nope. So rather than go through insurance, they are replacing my car. But they're using money that they had set aside to take me and my nieces to Orlando next summer for my graduation. It's fine. I can do without seeing Disney World again, but my parents, sister, and nieces are upset with me and saying that I'm an a-hole for denying my nieces the opportunity to go on a vacation that they have never had. I just asked them if a lock for my door would have been cheaper. Am I the a-hole? Comment said, honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking that we should just report it to the police and let the chips fall where they may. After all, sister did steal my car, and you are right that it's not fair to nieces to have to miss the trip because of sister's decision to break your trust and break the law. And the last thing I want is to be responsible for nieces missing out. So let's just report it to the police, not the a-hole. While I understand families deciding to handle situations like this within the family rather than reporting it to the authorities, that is dependent on the wrongdoer being genuinely sorry for their mistake. But your sister isn't sorry, not even a little. Otherwise, she would recognize that her choice took the trip away from her children, and not be constantly trying to guilt or blame you. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.